Welcome back, everyone. Today, I want to share with you guys my experiences with the Peterson Academy. So, the Peterson Academy by Dr. Jordan Peterson just launched August 21st. It is currently August 24th, the day that I'm recording this video. So, it's only been out for 3 days, so I'm a little bit early. But I wanted to wait until I fully completed a course to make a video for you guys. And I've already completed Intro to Nietzsche. I cranked through it in 3 days because it was so interesting to me. And I'll talk about that course in particular and about the Peterson Academy in general, more so towards the end of this video. To start this video, though, I want to talk a little bit about my experience with university and a little bit about my backstory and how I got here, because I just turned 24 a little bit over a month ago. So obviously, Peterson Academy wasn't exactly my first choice for university. It wasn't around when I was 18. I went straight to MacEwan, which gives you guys a little bit of sense where I'm from. I'm from Edmonton, Alberta, which is where Jordan Peterson was born. He grew up in a town called Fairview, which is a little bit north of Edmonton. I've been to Fairview just like I've been to basically every town in Alberta, traveling for hockey and such. So I have that hometown connection with Dr. Jordan Peterson, and I was introduced to him about 10 years ago now. So around 2014, 2015, about the time I was about 15, 14 years old, is when I started to get introduced into politics, and I started to go on YouTube and watch debates. I was really into watching debates of, Dawkins and Hitchens, and I got into Jordan Peterson, and it wasn't actually so much his political stuff or his religious stuff that kept me watching him. It was his immense depth of knowledge in psychology. I was very, very fascinated with psychology and physics around that age. And I watched every single lecture he put out on YouTube for free. So he put out his personality course and his maps of meaning course. He put out the variations, or the years of 2014, I think, up till 2017. So 4 different years of that course. And I watched every single version of it. Not just because I wanted to watch every single stitch of content Dr. Jordan Peterson had on the internet. That was certainly one of my goals, but also because I wanted to see his development over time as a professor and as a psychologist, which was very interesting to me, how he kind of progressed and made his courses better. And then watching the course he did on Nietzsche, I could just see so much growth even from then. It's amazing. So watching those courses also had a huge impact on my thinking and development over the last 10 years, but also on my content. If you guys go on this channel, there are 4 videos currently of me breaking down Disney films. I do it kind of from a psychological and Jungian perspective or lens, and that's largely because that's how Jordan Peterson would teach psychological concepts in his class. He would use Disney films like Pinocchio or The Lion King or Sleeping Beauty to portray these psychological topics and ideas, and I thought that was just a brilliant way of doing it. It got me engaged. It helped me to understand Jungian philosophy, and it's motivated me to do it myself. So I've done The Lion King, I've done Sleeping Beauty, Pinocchio, and Alice in Wonderland so far on this channel. They're all over an hour long, I believe, and they're all me breaking these films down from a Jungian psychological perspective. And I try to use, visual cues, and I'm trying to make what Jordan Peterson was doing almost better. Now, I'm not doing it as well as him so far. I'm only 24. I still have a lot to learn, and I'm getting better at it as I do each one, and I hope to do Peter Pan actually pretty soon here. But what I want to do is do these kind of Jungian psychological analyses of films, but to expand outside of just Disney films. So I'm going to start with the Disney films because that's what Jordan Peterson uses. But eventually I want to do a Jungian analysis of 2001: A Space Odyssey and Everything Everywhere All at Once and Inception and all these Mr. Nobody. Like, there's a whole list of like sci-fi films and deep philosophical films that I want to just take apart and have fun with on this channel. And making those videos has been, it feels like my calling. Like I spend 12 hours in a day just back to back making them, and it feels like that. It feels like the day went by in a flash. Like, it's incredibly pleasurable to make those. I learned so much in making them, and it seems like you guys learn a decent amount too in watching them. So I'm going to keep making those videos. I really think that that's kind of my calling, and I know that I'm kind of copying Jordan Peterson there, but I do think that while I might not have the psychological understanding of a Dr. Jordan Peterson yet, I hope to get there one day. I do believe that I have an understanding of film that is very, very deep. I've seen, I think like 1,000 or 5,000 films at this point in my life. They're all kind of rank ordered on my letterbox. But yeah, I've seen a tremendous amount of film. So I hope to bring a unique perspective to these analyses. But that's just one way that Jordan Peterson has incredibly influenced me and my content here on this channel. So, like I said, I went straight into MacEwan University. Jordan Peterson attended the University of Alberta, which is the one of the top universities in Canada, one of the top universities. If you're here watching this video and you know anything about the Peterson Academy, you know he released it because universities, especially in Canada, have gotten so badly corrupted and calcified that they're not top anymore. So, but for a long time, the University of Alberta was regarded as one of the top universities in Canada. Now, I wanted to complete my master's degree and my PhD there, but I wanted to get my bachelor's degree at MacEwan because it was a little bit cheaper. So that was one big reason. And it was probably going to be a little bit easier. I was probably going to score a little bit higher in my class, which would have been better for me because the competition's a little bit lower at MacEwan. It's still a great university. Great. Yeah, we'll talk about that now. So I went to MacEwan at 18, straight out of high school. Big reason why I went is because my parents wanted me to go to university, and my girlfriend at the time was, going to university, and a lot of my friends were too. So a little bit of peer pressure there, but I was still very, very interested in psychology, and I wanted to pursue a career in it. So I was also there, for my own volition as well. But I felt as soon as I got into the university that it was not what I expected. The big things that I found that let me down was, one, the quality of education that I was getting in the first year. So in the first year that I spent at MacEwan, I felt like I wasn't really getting any step up in education, and in a couple different ways. So I went to one of the top elementary schools in Canada. It was a French elementary school. So I took basically from kindergarten to grade 9, I took all of my schooling in French. Every single class besides English class was in French. So mathematics, science, I learned all of that in French. And then I went to a high school, which was also one of the top high schools in the country. The elementary, I would give the stamp of approval. The high school, it was supposed to be a Catholic high school, but it was kind of wishy-washy on that. It was more liberal. It was getting pretty liberal by the time I was at that high school. But it was still a great high school. Like, comparing it to the other high schools in my area, definitely the best high school I could have went to. But I got to university, and I thought, this is going to be another step up. Like, I'm going to further my education. But it didn't feel like that. I felt like my English classes, I was learning things that I already learned in like grade 11 English. My economics classes were all like super, super basic stuff that I thought was like common knowledge. Macro and micro, I didn't feel were that engaging to me. And I didn't know why I had to take them anyways. I know now that like you should probably take a couple economics classes if you're going to be a psychologist. But at the time, I'm like, why am I even in these classes? They're not engaging to me. They're mandatory classes. And then the psychology classes are the ones that I was the most excited about because you don't take psychology in high school. You just take science or biology or physics or chemistry. There's no psychology class. So I thought, here, at least I'm going to learn something new and unique. I didn't. I found that my professor didn't know much more about psychology than any of my high school teachers. Really, it was kind of embarrassing. I would ask them questions about certain psychological thinkers, and they wouldn't have even had read them. And it was very odd, and the class was also huge. There was like over 100 people in the class. And I don't know if that contributes to this at all, but I felt in all of my classes like there wasn't really a sense of community. That was a big reason why I went to university, was to talk to other people, to talk to peers, to have debates, to pose ideas and to have people challenge them. And I didn't get that at all. Everybody seemed to just have their hoodies up and their Starbucks cups, and everybody was just in their own world and secluded off from everybody else. It was weird. It didn't feel like a community. It it was weird. Definitely made a couple friends, but not nearly as many as I was expecting to make. And yeah, so I didn't feel like I was engaging with my professors. They all were too busy, or they didn't have time to sit down and debate topics with students. Like, none of them put any time into having extra time with students. It was bad. So I was like, okay, I'm not really engaging with my teachers much. My teachers don't seem to be much smarter than my high school teachers. Now, I understand that they're still professors. There's still a reason why they were teaching at a university and not a high school. So they definitely had to do something to get those qualifications, assumingly. But but yeah, I felt like I wasn't really getting much from the community there. And then, like I said, the coursework wasn't very difficult. I felt like I was learning more, and I was more engaged from the lectures that I was watching online, not just from Jordan Peterson, not just those personality and maps of meaning courses, but I would watch courses from Cambridge, Harvard, Oxford, literally any school I could find. I would try to pick out the Ivy League schools, obviously, but a lot of them had a lot of courses like in full, online, free on YouTube, and I was like, well, I'd rather watch these. I'm learning more from these. And then I found that you could find the reading lists and the syllabuses online for free. And you could go and you could find most of these books on Amazon, or the textbooks. You could find PDFs on Internet Archive, or on a plethora of different websites. You could find PDF versions of a lot of these textbooks, so you can read the stuff on your own. And if you want the quizzes, you might not be able to get like the up-to-date exams and quizzes from like the last year, but you can get some dated ones that still, test your knowledge to some degree. So that's what I was doing. I was just kind of sludging through university that I was paying for, and then going home, and on the bus ride home, watching lectures that were actually engaging me and that were actually teaching me something. So I just felt like I wasn't getting my money's worth, and the price of the university compared to the level of education I was getting just wasn't there. So the last thing in my mind was like, okay, the one thing that they're promising me is a piece of paper at the end of this that is a degree that says that, I can get a job somewhere. Now, I had to weigh in my head, was that really worth the price? Because everything else wasn't. The community, the education itself, it wasn't living up to the price. So was that degree actually going to be worth the price? And I thought about it for a long time, but I ended up deciding to drop out. So after a year of university, so take this for what it's worth. I was only in university for a year, but for that 1 year, I think I saw enough to be like, yeah, I definitely know. So I dropped out, and then I had this anxiety that came with that, because, I felt like I was letting my parents down. I knew that I had the abilities to get a degree and to get a high paying job and to become successful. But now I felt like I was stepping down from that, and it felt bad. It didn't feel good. So I was starved for knowledge. Even though I was teaching myself a lot and reading almost a book a day, I still tried to read a book a day. But I knew I was educating myself, but I wasn't getting any feedback for it. I wasn't talking to anybody. I wasn't discussing these ideas with other people who were studying the same things. I wasn't getting tested on my knowledge. So it didn't feel right. And that sucked, but I was able to fill that void with jobs. Obviously, if you're not going to school, you gotta work. That's what every parent will tell you. So I got a job. I got a really great job. I was a security guard in hospitals during COVID. So for 2 years, I worked as a security guard in emergency rooms, and then eventually that got too much for me. I had moved to an old folks home, and even that was very depressing. I saw a lot of stuff working in hospitals, like a lot of stuff that I cannot scrub out of my mind now, but it taught me a lot. It taught me way more than I learned in university. I learned so much doing those jobs, so much about people, psychology, everything. I learned so much about life working that job. Eventually, like I said, it was just a little bit too much for me. There's only so much carnage you can see if you're not really cut out for that job, and I definitely wasn't. My personality does not line up with somebody who would work in an emergency room. But eventually, yeah, quit that job, and was just kind of like in this void place again. I got another job, obviously, but I didn't have a job as fulfilling as that job. So luckily, Jordan Peterson released the announcement that he was going to come out with the Peterson Academy and directly confront these universities and try to reform education for the better and take it back to more of a neutral, unbiased education, something that's more truthful, truth driven, rather than these corrupt and calcified universities that are just not worth the money anymore. Now, again, I was in for a year and I was in the humanities in Canada. So it was pretty bad compared to the average university and the average experience going to a university or college. I know for some American viewers, they might be a little bit confused. University is that's like our top school. The colleges are like where you go to get like a trade job or something like that. Whereas I think in America, the definitions are flipped. But yeah, university just wasn't cutting it here in Canada. So I was glad Jordan Peterson announced the Peterson Academy, but it took 2 years for that to come out, 2 or 3 years, and I was itching the whole time. The whole time I'm like, come on, like let me in, like that Eric Andre skit. Let me in, like I want to go and learn. So I was, reading Nietzsche the past 6 or 8 months ago. I read all of Nietzsche, everything that he put out, just to, because I knew Jordan Peterson was going to put out a course, Intro to Nietzsche, and I didn't know exactly what book he was going to focus on. So I was like, I'll just reread everything. I first came encounter with Nietzsche when I was 16 or 17. It was around grade 11 when I was more of an atheist and I thought I understood Nietzsche. I definitely did not. I still don't fully understand Nietzsche. I don't know if you can ever confidently say that you fully understand Nietzsche, but I definitely understand him better now, especially after this course that I just took. But yeah, so I got introduced into Nietzsche fairly young from Jordan Peterson. And these last couple of years, I've been restudying that. I've been reading a ton of books in preparation for this university, things that I think that we're going to study, stuff like Thomas Aquinas and Augustine, and reading Karl Marx's works. And I just finished Stephen Cotton's volume 2 of his Stalin biography. The third volume's coming out sometime next year. That was an amazing read, very long and heavy read, but awesome. So I've been reading all this stuff, kind of getting prepared in advance for this university. Like, come on, let this thing come out. And then the pre-enrollment gets announced. And I think like 1 or 2 days after that, here's my $500 or $600. In Canada, it's a little bit more expensive because of our dollar. But here's my money. Get me in there. And then, like I said, the university's only been out for 3 days. It came out 3 days ago. And I watched the first lecture and got obsessed and said, I'm going to crank through this before the end of the weekend. And here I am on Saturday. I finished it last night. So the intro to Nietzsche was fantastic. I'll get into that in a second. But yeah, this university's been kind of like a light at the end of the tunnel, or like a saving grace. It's been awesome. I don't want to say it gave me like a new sense of purpose in my life, but it's added more purpose to my life. And it's made me feel like I have more purpose now in a way, because I feel like I'm making progressive steps forward, if that makes any sense. So let's talk about the actual academy and the courses now that I've given you guys a little bit of backstory of my kind of failure in university. Not exactly that I failed at university. I actually had really good grades at university. I just I couldn't see myself pursuing it anymore. Didn't make much sense in my head, as I already explained. So this Peterson Academy, there's a lot of questions that come with it. Obviously my friends and family and my mom, she's like, what are you going to get out of this? Is this like just some sort of master class, or are you actually going to get a degree out of this? Are you going to get a job out of this? Is this going to be accredited? Is the quality of education at the same level as like the established universities, or is it below that? And I would actually argue that it's at the same level, if not above that. So here's a couple of reasons why. So I've only taken one course so far. I'll make another video probably around September 21st, maybe around when it's been out for 1 full month. I'll make another video giving you guys more expanded thoughts on this. But from the first course that I've taken, I've found that just in those 8 lectures alone, they can actually cram in more than a university can in 20 lectures. Because, when you take a half-year course, you're taking lectures every week for several months. That adds up to about 20 lectures, 20 to 40, depending on how big the course is. But I feel like they can cram just as much into 6 to 8 lectures. And you might say, like, how? How is that possible? Well, the thing is, these professors, and I've only watched Jordan Peterson's lecture so far, so I'm just watching his his way of doing it. But from what I've seen so far, he is much more alert, much more present, much more focused than any professor I've ever seen at a university. Even the ones that I watched online of like top professors from Stanford and Oxford and Cambridge, even those professors, they seem like they show up and it's just like it's another Tuesday. You know, it's the fourth day of the week. It's a Thursday now, and we're showing up and everybody's kind of down and tired and let's get through this lecture. And there's kind of like that feel to it where everybody's like, you know, there's that feel to it, like, oh, it's just another day. Whereas with this academy, everything's polished, everything's finely tuned, everybody seems to be very alert and upright and focused. And maybe it's because the room's white. All the students are very, postured up and focused and attentive. And I can see that everybody's very well dressed, and that's awesome to see as well. And obviously, Jordan Peterson's the best dressed man in the room with those amazing suits. They're really spectacular. I'd love to get a suit like that one day. But I feel like there's more. It's more tightly compact and more focused, and there's no questions during the class. There's no people raising their hand and questioning things that the professor's saying. So the professor's train of thought is never broken. When Jordan Peterson starts the lecture, he just goes like from start to finish. And there's like some edits in there, some cuts. If ever he sits and has to think about a word or something, they'll cut that if it's like really egregious and it's cut very, very well. You can't even notice it unless you really try to notice it, right? So I feel like they're very, 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 very concise from start to finish. There's no breaking of the train of thought, and because of that, you can actually get like 3 to 4 lectures worth of content that a regular professor would try to get out into just that one lecture, because the train of thought is never broken. So you go to an established university and there's always people asking questions, or the professor gets distracted by something, or maybe the professor's tired that day and he doesn't quite get out what he could if he showed up in the spirit, that's the only way I could say it, in the spirit of which the professors are showing up for the Peterson Academy. From what I've seen so far, all the professors are there, they're bright, they're lively, they're energetic, and everything's concise and planned out, and everybody talks really, really well. Now, I took episode 1 of Symbols and Christianity by Jonathan Pageau, and he seems to struggle a little bit more with talking, but I can tell that it's because he's not a standard professor, but still the course is amazing and he gives you so much. Like when he gets on a roll, I love listening to Jonathan Pageau. It's awesome to hear him speak, but you can tell when he's up there talking that he struggles a little bit here and there to get words out and stuff, but you could tell that he showed up and he's prepared, and he has all of his, he doesn't have notes in front of him, but he has his notes ready in his head. Like you can tell that these people are very, very prepared to give a lecture that day, and that it's not just the 4th or 5th day of the week showing up again. I hope you guys get a sense of what I'm trying to say there. It's hard to put it into words, but for those reasons, I think that they can actually cram 20 to 40 lectures worth of content into just those smaller amount of lectures. But I also think that these courses aren't actually fully done, because at the end of Intro to Nietzsche, Dr. Peterson said, I didn't actually get all the way through Beyond Good and Evil, so I'm probably going to tack on 4 more lectures to this course. Now that might be a rule of thumb for all of them. I don't know that for sure, so don't quote me on that, but all of these courses that are on there, they might not only be 6, they might just be 6 for right now. They might actually tack on more later. So we'll see if these are actually the full courses right now. But for what I've seen so far, they're so well done that they're actually squeezing out, a more concentrated content than what you would get at even an Ivy League university. So another thing that I think adds to the quality of the production and the quality of the education you're going to be getting is the visuals. The white background is such a useful tool. The fact that they can put these images that kind of splatter on the screen with like smoke and they capture you, those images. The ones for Intro to Nietzsche seemed like they were almost Harry Potter inspired, and they had a really, really cool vibe to them. You know, you see Nietzsche's face appear on the screen behind Jordan Peterson. It's really cool. And every time they put a quote up, you know, I memorize the quote, and sometimes I write it down if it seems important, like it might be on the quiz later, and I'll talk about the quizzes in a second. But I can memorize those quotes easier because when you have a teacher with a whiteboard or a blackboard or some sort of PowerPoint behind them and they're pointing to stuff and highlighting stuff, it doesn't pop out as much as what they're doing here. And I would have never known that could have been a thing before Peterson Academy because nobody's done this before. But this format of having the text and the images kind of explode on the screen behind the professor, it's very, very captivating and it's very engaging. And I find it very, very cool and brilliant. Excellent work by the editors and whoever put these lectures together. Very, very, very well done. It's very professional, very clean looking. Very happy with it so far. So that's what I've gotten from the lectures. If you guys want more information on what was actually in that course, the Intro to Nietzsche, I can make a video on that if you guys want. I just don't know how many people want to hear me slog on about what I learned about Nietzsche. Like I said, I've been a student or a fan, both at the same time, of Nietzsche for quite a while now. So the quizzes are 10 multiple choice questions which you can take at the end of each lecture, and they're great. You know, I feel like the questions are very well formulated, they're well worded. There was only one question on, I think it was like the fourth or fifth quiz, that I believe there was just a bad question because you could see your scores on one side after you've done the quizzes, and then on the other side, as you do the quizzes, you can see your peers' percentage. So you can see what the average grade is for all your peers, which is awesome. So you can kind of see how well you're doing. I, for the most part, have been scoring above everybody, which is good for me. I want to keep that going. But there was one where I did score, you know, I got 7 out of 10 on my quiz, and I was like, damn, you know, that's not good. I want to get 10 out of 10 on all of them. But on that particular quiz, 2 of the questions, you know, fair enough, I got them wrong. But one of them was just badly worded. And you could see that the percentages of the students dropped 10% on that particular quiz. So I think on that particular quiz, there was just one question that was just badly worded. And I could tell that from the second the question came up. I'm like, I don't think this is a good question. But besides that one little critique, and maybe they'll let all of us retake one of the quizzes at some point, who knows. But you can't retake the quizzes. You can only take them once. So that's one thing to know. If you take it and you go through it really quickly, like, just know you can't retake it. That's your score. So be diligent with taking those quizzes. But yeah, I scored pretty well on all of them. And I'm happy with that for myself. I found that they were, like I said, very well worded. They felt like university type quizzes. Like they didn't go easy on you. They actually got progressively harder as the lecture series went on. So that's good to see. Now the final exam isn't out yet. I don't know if I get to take the final exam now or if I have to wait for those 4 more lectures to get tacked on. I don't know for sure. When I know, I'll let you guys know. But for now, there's no final exam. It just says coming soon right now. So when that comes out, I'll take that. But I've been happy with the quizzes so far. Obviously, it would be cool to have, you know, like a written response and have that be graded, but that'll probably come out on the final exam. But so far, the quizzing's been really good as well. Let's talk a little bit about the general platform of the Peterson Academy, because I can only talk about the one course for now, so I won't discuss any of the other courses for today. But the general platform is very, very well built. The software is beautiful. For the most part, it's held up. I've had some issues with my laptop. It's a little finicky, but it's a new platform. You kind of expect that. But everything's beautifully laid out. All the courses have like their own aesthetic with the poster, and I love that. And there's probably their own aesthetic with like the background images. I've yet to see that because I've only taken one course, but everything has its own aesthetic, which is really cool. It helps differentiate the different courses. Some of the courses, like I said, are 6 lectures long. Some are 8 lectures long. So there's a little bit of a difference there in course length depending on what you're taking. The social media platform is great. So there's like a main feed. So you can comment under each course, and each or under each lecture, I should say, under each lecture you can comment, and already there's like tens, if not hundreds, of comments on the Intro to Nietzsche course. So obviously, tons of people are already diving into that one first, but that's awesome to see. So the fact that nobody's raising their hands or asking questions throughout the lecture, some people might not like that because they want to get their question answered immediately. I think it's better the way that they're doing it right now, to keep it condensed and tight, and just to have all of that discussion happen in the comments, because it's looking fantastic. Now there are the occasional comment that you can tell it's just somebody throwing a comment out there to kind of sound smart and to put something out there. It's very, very few. There's not many of that. I shouldn't pick on anybody like that. Most of the comments are actually really, really great. They're very, very smart, very well thought out, and people are posing really, really cool ideas, and people are going back and forth in the comments section. So that's cool to see. And there's more community on this online platform than I saw at MacEwan, at a university that I went to in person. There's more community on this online platform, which is crazy to say. But I've loved that so far. And like I said, there's a main feed. So on the home screen, there's like a main feed. And there's already a trend. It's been 3 days, and this social media platform on the Peterson Academy already has a trend. And it's people posting their Understand Myself quiz results. So obviously that's a Jordan Peterson product. The Understand Myself quiz gives you, your percentage or your percentile for the big 5 personality traits. I did mine a few years ago, so I was like 66 in conscientiousness. I think I've picked that up quite a bit since then, because I'm going to school, working a job, and I have a YouTube channel. I don't think I'm that low in conscientiousness anymore, but it's cool to see like other people's personality quizzes, and you can kind of go like, oh, that person's like really low in openness. Maybe that person would be harder to get along with, but maybe they'd be a really interesting friend. And then you see other people that are also really high in openness, and it's like cool, because I don't know a ton of people that are extremely high in openness. Like for myself, I've never met anybody that's read as many books as me, has listened to as much music as me, or has seen as many films as I have. And that's not like a brag or anything. It actually kind of sucks, because I love talking about art with people, and it sucks when you haven't really met anybody that's watched a Tarkovsky film or that listens to Tchaikovsky on the regular, right? So I'm somebody who's incredibly high in openness. It does have its benefits, but it has its flaws as well. I'm pretty introverted, even though I might seem lively on camera. I'm pretty introverted. I don't have the grandest social life. I'm not really a party animal. I like to just go home and consume art. That's kind of my thing. So it's cool to go on the platform and see other people's different personality quizzes, and to see them kind of express themselves. And there's all sorts of different types of personalities on there. Like you might expect to see, mostly people that are high in openness, because it's more of a humanities degree that you're kind of going for in the Peterson Academy. But there's people that are very, very low in openness and super high in conscientiousness and extroversion. And like, that's not me. I'm pretty low in extroversion. So that's kind of a cool trend that I've seen so far on the social media platform side of it. Just trying to think if there's anything else I can comment on. It's only been 3 days, so there's only so much I can say. But if you guys want to see, like I said, if you guys want to see me make a full video on what I learned in the Nietzsche class, I can do that. I did learn quite a bit from that class. Like I said, I've been studying Nietzsche before this class, but the way that Dr. Jordan Peterson engages with Nietzsche is very interesting and dynamic. He'll like agree with certain things, but then he'll also disagree with certain things, and he'll pull things apart and expand the ideas and pull from other different thinkers. And the way he riffs on Nietzsche is very, very engaging, and he's probably the best lecturer I've ever seen on Nietzsche. And I've watched quite a few different people lecture on Nietzsche because, like I've said, I've been obsessed with the guy since I first engaged with him. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on the Peterson Academy so far. If you guys are not signed up for the Peterson Academy yet, and you guys have any questions about the platform, let me know down in the comments. I'm not the biggest channel yet, so enjoy the perk while it lasts of me responding to pretty much every single comment. I will respond to basically everything, unless it's like egregiously just rude or something. I'll respond to your guys' comments. So let me know down below if you have any questions about the Academy. Like I said, I'll probably do a follow-up video around the 1 year anniversary mark. So September 21st, around there, you can maybe expect another video about the Academy. And if you guys are already in the Academy and you're just watching this video to find somebody else's perspective on it, let me know down in the comments. What do you guys think of it so far? What things do you like about it? Is there anything that you would change about it or that you don't like about it so far? Are there any bugs or any issues that you found with the platform that you think users should know about right now? Let me know down in the comments. I love talking to you guys down there. So don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, share this with your friends. It helps boost this channel in the algorithm. If we can get this channel big, I can give you guys more of those Disney psychological film analysis videos. So let's blow this channel up. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, it means the world to me. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.